In this section, this presentation is a continuation of hand bending. So we will look at other aspects instead of just the bender, but other things that need to be considered when we are bending. So we're going to be looking at the cutting, reaming, and threading conduit. The objectives of this section that we're going to cover, again, cutting conduit using a hacksaw, cutting conduit using a pipe cutter, ream the conduit, threading conduit, and cutting joining PVC conduit. And there was a performance test that we will be working out in the lab also after we complete this section. Now, there's many different ways to use to cut the tubing. However, the tubing must be square. Jagged edges must be removed, but it should be square because it needs to fit inside of a fitting. And if there's not a square end, very possible that it can would not be a tight mechanical seal. So RMC, IMC, and EMT are sold in 10-foot lengths and normally cut to length using a hacksaw, or better yet, a Porter band. Or a Porter band is basically a handheld bandsaw, or a sawzall, which is a reciprocating saw. Those on the job site is more common than using a handsaw or a hacksaw rather, which is slower, but you can with the electrical tools such as a Porter band or a reciprocating saw would be the faster way to do it. There's other ways too. You could use a chop saw, a metal cutting chop saw to cut multiple pieces of conduit at the same time. So basically, you're going to use the correct size blades. In other words, it needs to be a metal blade, and the number of teeth per inch usually is on the higher number side. The smaller number, like let's say 10 teeth per inch, is usually used for wood. For the harder the material, the more teeth per inch you will use. So 24 teeth per inch would probably be used for cutting conduit. Somewhere in that ballpark. It would be a little bit more, a little bit less, but the finer the teeth, the cleaner the cut would be. Of course, pipe cutters can be used. Certainly that is fine. It's very quick. It does a very good job, and it will be a square cut compared to trying to guide it with a handsaw. Basically, you turn the handle a quarter inch for each full revolution around the conduit. When you first set the tubing bender, just put enough tension on it that it's you could feel the tension on the pipe, and then make at least one full revolution, and then you could tighten it a quarter turn. If you over tighten it, you have problems of deforming the inside of the tubing. There would be a burr inside of it, a rim inside of it, and in that case, you would, no matter what, you need to ream out the inside of the pipe. So this is a reamer. A reamer is especially this type, is a very aggressive tool. It's very sharp, and it actually will shave off the inside of the pipe. Here's the reason why. If you use a hacksaw, the inside of the piping will be very jagged. If you use a sawzall or a Porter band, it will still be somewhat jagged inside. Even if you're using a tubing cutter, the inside of the piping will be slightly smaller by cutting inside, and be kind of sharp too, which can strip off the insulation off the wires. So we want to make sure the inside of the pipe, all pipe, no matter how you cut it, will be reamed inside. So basically, this reamer this electrician has in his hand will fit multiple size pipes and look like this particular one to probably go up to a 2-inch pipe inside diameter. So after cutting, conduit must be reamed to remove any burrs or sharp edges. A file can be used when a reamer is not available. So most likely technician will have a reamer because using a file certainly takes a lot longer. But if you don't have anything, please do something because the sharp edge will damage the pipe. So how the ream is actually is a ratcheting tool. Ratcheting. You could turn it in one direction, cut in one direction, then you could spin it out in the opposite direction. And to make it easier, there's a handle that sticks out where you could use, in this picture, using his left hand to hold the reamer in place, and the handle, the ratcheting handle, is in his right hand. And you would turn clockwise to ream the inside of it, and you would turn it counterclockwise to remove it. Now, for rigid piping, they will use a um, conduit threader, and it's for rigid um, or intermediate metal conduit. So basically, it's threaded. You can put fittings on it, but typically it's not. They thread in the pipe. Matter of fact, the threads are a little bit different than regular pipe threads plumbers will use or pipe fitters will use. These threads are not tapered. It's straight threads. So when they actually tighten up the fitting, they bottom it out completely um, to um, to tighten it up. They just tighten it up till it stops. It will bottom out, but it's straight threads instead of tapered threads. So the ratchet threader is available that produces either 8 to 18 uh, threads per inch, and it's basically just almost like pipe thread, but it's again it is straight, not tapered. Pipe threads are tapered. PVC can be cut with a hacksaw and deburred. Matter of fact, um, it must be deburred too, even though it's plastic. It's not going to rip up the piping through it, but it's common practice. Common practice in pipe fitting. A craftsman would always deburr the inside of it, or matter of fact, they may chamfer the outside of the pipe, which is just beveling the outside edge. So when they use PVC glue, that it will sit better inside of the piping. So again, using hacksaw, sawzall, porter band, all those can be used to cut PVC. Alrighty, review questions. Which of the following blades should you select when using a hacksaw to cut thin wall MET, EMT rather? Again, like I say, the smaller the blade, in other words, the more teeth per inch, the finer the blade is, and the smoother the cut would be. So the answer would be 32. When using a pipe cutter, tighten the cutter handle when you're making a revolution. So in this case, again, you don't want to over tighten it. You want to make sure that there's some tension on it when you tighten it, but only a quarter turn is necessary to cut the pipe. And if you got a good blade on your pipe cutter, it actually will cut it pretty quick, very quick. So in other words, you may only make about 5 to 6 full turns to cut the pipe. Smooth and cut metal conduit edges you should use, again, to smooth to the cut metal conduit edges, you will use Uh, let's think about it. It's not steel wool. Pliers is used for pulling things. Pocket knife can be used for PVC. So the correct answer would be a reamer. Question 4. Conduit dies. We're talking about the ratchet dies to be able to thread rigid pipe. And it says conduit dies cut a taper of, and this is actually incorrect. What in the correct answer? Because electricians do not use taper. For pipe fitters, yes, but so we discount that one. But if it's on a quiz, I'm just letting you know, put this down. But in actuality, it is straight threads. They make two different types of, just using the same ratchet threader, but the teeth will be different. So I just want to make sure. Um, you could fact check me if you like. Um, certainly, I um, feel, like I say, that fact check it just to be sure that you will know that straight threads are typically used for electrical work, and for pipe fitting, they use taper. Question 5. When cutting and joining PVC, what should we do? A says use a PVC cutter for tray sizes um, 2 inches and larger. B says use PVC cement on the inside and outside surfaces of the fitting only. Well, that's not correct. Um, you would only do the inside of the fitting and outside of the pipe, not the fitting. C says use PVC cement on the end of both pieces to be joined. That is correct. But also the inside of the fitting. Use PVC cement on the ends of both pieces to be joined. Alrighty, we're done with 7.